Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. So let me just get back to the little Mike. We'll get back to little Mike. There we go. Sorry, didn't correct that after the last live stream with Bob Iacchino. By the way, if you're new here to this live stream, please consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Again, we're going to be checking in stocks. Again, we'll take a look at Tesla. We'll take a look at some after market close earnings. We have those. We'll take a look at, I don't know, I'll take a look at, enough people follow this. So Roblox, Upstart, Airbnb, which I put out a tweet. By the way, if you're not following us on Twitter, path_trading. Going to start putting out more tweets. So we'll take a look at that before the open again tomorrow. Definitely we'll be watching Shopify. So that's going to be the big one I'm taking a look at. Now I'm going to take a look at Kraft Heinz or some unusual option. I can't even speak now. Some unusual option plays going on this afternoon in Kraft Heinz. So going to keep an eye out for that. So let me know what else you want to look at. Good afternoon, Tesla Force. Hi, Sashi. How are you? Glad to have you back. Let me get Tesla out of the way real quick. So running up today, gap up, and then you see here, gap up, not much of a retrace, stalling out of that first target from the double, 918.65. Like I said, if people want to hold, use these targets still. Use these targets as great places to move up stops and or take profits. Again, if it continues higher tomorrow, 928.57, 938.49, still favor some higher prices. Top of the daily rotation zone, you can see here if I zoom in, is right at that second target area. So that's where we're watching for what would be support. If it starts breaking down, again, I'm watching the bottom of the 1 hour rotation zone. If we start breaking down, I'll watch for today's low, and then I'll go after the gap fills. So that's all my upside and downside targets. But, you know, this prior breakout level, which triggered the double, is now your first major area of key support. Let's see, RBLX, which I know was down. Yeah, it's down. So it missed, let's see, 13-cent downside surprise and missing on revenue. That's a pretty big miss. Trading 63.30 post. Boy, I mean, for this, unless it makes up something overnight, if there's bullish stuff tomorrow, if it's again buy some of these plays that were hot plays before, I'd just be watching for the gap fill before a rollover. But I'm not, based off that earnings report, and even this price action is still, you know, declining rotation zone, little correction out of very oversold condition, and now earnings out of the way and rolling over. I'd be watching for a retest of the low area coming in about 57.19 area. You want some support before that, would be about $60.50. So that's where that sits. I know Airbnb, I put this out on the Twitter. Here's a target area, and it's actually went through it earlier, but now sitting, that's my target area. It was, see this little box here? So that was using the harmonic end. You have an end of a clear path, an advanced clear path move there. You have the harmonic, and you have a key retracement harmonic. Put that out earlier on Twitter, and it's sitting right in there after hours, after it went through it with the post earnings pop. So I'm going to be watching how that opens tomorrow. If we come back down through there, I will be watching a longer term, not just tomorrow, but for the next couple of days, for the potential gap fill on a strong area. My next area of resistance is 190.50, because then we still have this, there is still a gap play here. And then I'd be watching above there, and this is not just for tomorrow. If we don't come and fill the gap, and this is a strong still continuation follow through on earnings. My next target would be 196.42. But this will be, if above this 187.73 area, this gap open is the next major target area for me, 190.44. Thanks, Sashi Robo. Yeah, there were not good earnings. Let's see. This is bookings rose 90%. 19. That's I didn't have this information in front of me, so thank you very much, Sashi. 90.9% year over year to 770.12 million. Average daily active users 49.5 million, increased to 33% year over year. Hours engaged were 10.8 billion, increased to 28%. So we definitely have, and that was a reopening play also. So let's just see. I mean, remember, you have a lot of resistance up here at the top, but you know, if as with those results, it's pretty good. I'd still be watching for this longer term for pullback plays, especially with that gap fill. And this is where also I use these prior key harmonic levels to watch for trades, but you know, we're already at the next upside target. Let's take a look. What else do we now? Let's see. Where were we? Oh, that was for tomorrow. Wrong one. We have Upstart. Yeah, that's the one I was forgetting. Sorry about that. UPST. I know they beat, and there was no great play. I said that yesterday. No great play. But we have it's closing in on that 50 exponential. This prior, I think I talked about that key area yesterday. It's 128.45, and then you have the 50 right above there. That's the first target. What's interesting is, you know, you're right in the weekly rotation zone. So even on a continued rally, major resistance is coming in at 157, and I will still watch for, if it does continue to rally through the next couple of days, I will watch for another pullback play and then assess something bigger. But we came out of here finally putting in a slight bottoming and then waiting for earnings. Did not have a clear pattern going into earnings, but that was hitting that key area now. So I would not get overly greedy with Upstart. It has room to still run to the upside, but then I'll be starting to watch for a slight pullback again to reassess. What do you want? XPEV, Abraham? Really? This has got, I mean, your key resistance is right here. It tried to hold above the 200 before and couldn't. So you're really watching for another key close above about, I'd even bump it up a bit. I'd go watching over 41, but you have a ton of overhead resistance, even back to 42.63. So nothing, I'm just looking at that. I mean, these are short-term upside plays for XPEV. Let me take off a couple of these other lines. I'd really be focusing on this, the 200 and then the 50. If you get through to 50, it's 42.63. But that's where I'm watching to the upside. ENPH. Nice rotation back up. Again, follow through rally. Let's see. There's no major pattern here besides there's no buy signal there. I'm just watching shorter term. There's just a little 4-hour buy signal. I'd be watching for this to run to the 160, 75, 161 to see how it reacts at that 50. That's going to be key. If you can get the close above the 50, you're into this nice clear path. I would not ignore the 200, which was support here, support, and then would gap through it and then gapped above and could not hold it. This is going to be very significant resistance, about 161, 160.75, 161. If you do get through there on a closing basis, since you are in a clear path, my next target wouldn't even the breakdown area. It will be the straight to the 200, 173.50 area, 173.60. You get through there, then I'd start watching upwards of this key high from that big gap open reversal, and then the end of the clear path is about 187. What else do we have? CRM. CRM earnings coming up. When are earnings on that? The 1st of March. You're getting some downside divergences, waning momentum. Trying to put in a bottoming pattern here. Very interesting. I mean, let's see. This was a buy play today, by the way. So this is a buy, even on pullbacks over the next couple of days, as long as you don't get a break below this low, especially on a closing basis. That's where the stop would be for this buy pattern. And I'd be aggressively moving up the stop right around 221 area, top of the daily rotation zone. And this would be a bottom fishing play and watching it, how it returns to the weekly rotation zone. What would be interesting is if you can get a good position on with this one, take some partial profits before earnings, and then it could be rolled into an earnings play with Salesforce. Salesforce is pretty beat up, and you had that waning momentum. So that could be a very interesting play. And again, it triggered a buy signal there. CCK. Nice breakout. Wow. Yesterday with that breakout and today just the follow through. This one's a little tough to do some projections on since it's so choppy. But let's see where the harmonics lead us. So next I'd be watching that 123.74, and I'd also then, if you get through there, this is where I have to do the long-term harmonics. And then my next target would be 127.40 area. Key support, since it's broke, it based right around here. You see here, this key resistance is now major support. So even as long as it stays above about 117, it's definitely still in play for more upside action. Even a pullback to there. You have this gap, even with a gap fill, you know, it's just rising into these 4-hour and daily rotation zones. So there's a backfill plays still present with Crown Holdings. I don't care what they make. You just got to trade the charts. And aluminum prices are going through the roof too. So that's interesting. This is still definitely long-term playable. If you take a look at this weekly chart, look at this, how long it took to build this breakout play. So you see here, it held your 50-week, rising up and now breaking out. This is a long-term play. Even on pullbacks, this is a long-term play. I'm going to have to write that one down. Thanks for pointing that out. What else do we have? Marriott, which did earnings this morning. That was earnings this morning, and they beat and up to the upside. Let's just see here. This was a little great area to, I missed it. See, it went through this little area. That was the area I was watching on my other platform. It held there and then went through it on earnings. Now at this point, you got to go to the forward box from those key lows. And this is still a great area to move up a stop and then target 186.40. Your key support is still coming back. So even on retracements, 170, as long as 170 holds strong, even with an partial dip even to about 168, things are still buyable long-term from my perspective on Marriott. Again, forming this decent multi-week sort of sideways basing pattern before breaking above 170. Strong play there. Just watch for a little pullback now. What else did we want? AMD. AMD. Again, it triggered the buy. The next key area for me would be about 127.86, 128 to raise up a stop. Through there, I'd target about 132.50. And if it gets through there, which I would not ignore 132.50. You have this prior support area becoming resistance right in there. Above there, I'd be back to 140. But this was a triggered buy pattern right there. Let's see what else we have. With retail sales tomorrow, can we take a peek in at Target? Sure. target. When are the this, by the way, that double is out of play. Earnings on the 1st of March. Remember, this is, I'm still bearish on it. Even if this pops with earnings, I'm still bearish long term on this. We have not hit the neck. I'm still watching that 200. Now, it's trying, it is a little oversold here. If it, there's nothing for me to do to the bullish side. I'm going to be patient and sit on my hands, so I have an alert there at this 200 area. 200, 201. I'm watching even on any rallies here. I just watch for a return to the weekly rotation zone for another rollover. This is a major, major topping pattern. You can see here. So longer term, I'm still watching for the long grind down, but I will be focusing on that 200 area for a potential shorter term bottom if it gets there without a bounce. I think Ukraine and Russia will still be in. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, we have the retail sales tomorrow morning. So that's going to be interesting. Then we have Fed minutes tomorrow. So I think the Ukraine thing, if there's nothing else really going on, unless there's bad news, that'll start dying down a bit. Inflation's already off the table at this point, besides what's tied to the FOMC minutes. Okay. But you have the Fed speakers the rest of the week, so there will be volatility, but it's going to be more tied to just the back and forth with the FOMC. SE. SE, interesting. C Limited. Remember, you have earnings coming up on that on the 1st of March. Also, you have this nice little double bottom pattern starting to fill the gap here. And this is a daily percent B buy signal. I'd be focusing on the gap fill. And, you know, this is a really nice end of day buy to run up for the gap fill and then potentially roll it into a double bottom play. So that could be pretty interesting. And the double bottom, that weekly rotation zone is out of the way, and it could return to the other side of the road, you know, closer to the top of the rotation zone. You're into a weekly clear path here. So as long as they don't do like blow earnings, you have some upside potential in here. Still, you have some gap plays to fill. So this could be very interesting, and it already got the front run entry play right here for C Limited. Just manage risk because you do have earnings again on the 1st. Is Ethereum USD forming a cup and handle on the daily? Yeah. Yep. I'm still watching again here. I've been watching for that rally and then the confirmed rollover. I'm still not overly bullish on crypto. I'm not surprised that we're getting the rally there because you sort of got the risk on and you got the stuff with you know, stressing the freezing of bank accounts with Canada. I'm still watching for 33.72 area, and then I will reassess. It's a back and forth push pull. You're still at key resistance here. Again, before you get to 30, what was that level I just said? Sorry, 33, you know, 33.72 area. I'm really focused on to see how it reacts at about 32.40. 32.40 is going to be very key for me to see if we get a pause there and a slight pullback, or if it just blows through there. So that's what I'm watching. But overall, until I can see it really sustain something above the weekly rotation zone, I'm still sitting in longer term bearish mode. SPCE. You see how often, I mean, this right back to the weekly. I mean, it came from major oversold condition. Yeah, this could still run. I'm just looking at it's see if it triggered anything. That's a daily buy signal. You're above the rotation zone. I'd be watching for this 1175, then the full gap fill. It just triggered a short-term buy. The only thing is you got earnings on the 22nd, so it could easily run into earnings up through there. So I would, since it did just trigger a buy, it broke above this key resistance base. So even on a slight backfill, now if it gets back down below about 975, I'd start getting in the very cautious mode, and this could be over then. But as long as it's holding above 975 on a closing basis, I'd be watching for the continued upward price action. Again, targeting the 50, then the gap fill. Longer term, you're still in the weekly rotation zone, and this is major resistance. You see here, right around here. You see here it was support, very temporary support, now rolling over. So if you're already long or looking to play from the long side, and it does continue a strong rally, your targets are around 1450, 1444, 1450. That would just take it back to this prior major support becoming major resistance with the declining rotation zone. So I would not push anything beyond that, or at least very aggressively move up stops. All metal materials are going up the next 3 years. Biden heavy invested in construction. I'm very bullish on a lot of things material related and commodity related. Let's see. Oil and gas going up for the next 3 years. We're getting a pullback finally on oil. Been talking about it for the last week. Then I'm looking to reload. I'm still incredibly bullish on oil and energy. Remember, for my sector overview, we're in a long-term bull mode here, finally getting that pullback, but this is just going to be watching for a pullback and then another rotation back up in that. So, yeah, I think space is, is overdue for a pop off of this bottoming. You see also, with the waning momentum and breaking above this key base back in space. How do you draw your harmonic? Again, you're going to want to go from major swing highs or swing lows, the most recent, and then a longer term, and you want to then use a pausing bar. Okay, if I find a good example, we'll do it. Walmart also looks weak. Double top may trigger. Walmart. Let's take a look at that big picture. I'm not seeing. Oh, this is a triple. Even on, that's still a triple even on the monthly. I mean, you could possibly separate that. Walmart's not looking healthy though. I'll give you that much. And earnings, when are earnings? It'll be interesting to see. Earnings are in 2 days. So let's see how that does react to earnings. But on a breakdown, I'd just be watching for this support right around 130. If that's broken, 127. But that's not terribly healthy. A lot of retail is not looking very healthy. So let's see. Facebook, we talked about that yesterday. Here's your daily. Did that close? I did not look at this going into the close. 221. What was the high yesterday? 221. That closed right at the high. So that was the aggressive buy from this bottoming. Again, I'm watching for a roll into the double right here. So it's starting to move up the stops, especially as it closes in on this rotation zone now, and it would be a tight stop because you get a move below yesterday's low, especially on a daily close. If it closes, it's definitely out. Intraday, if the Nasdaq's real weak and it breaks there, then it would be out. Other than that, that's the stop level for that very aggressive buy, and then moving up the stops as it hits the daily rotation zone, and then there's still a double play it could roll into. All right, let's just do, I never looked at that, KWEB. Huh. Never looked at this one. Got some divergences. Got starting to form this little bottoming pattern here. That's interesting. I'm just looking here for a second. Let's see. That's a little. That's interesting. Yeah. You go with close above 39.80 takes you into a double pattern. It's still lower probability because it's right against the weekly rotation zone. But this is forming a very nice little longer term daily base. So that could be a little upside play with definitely I'd bump down the first target and use the weekly rotation zone other side as the first stop reduction target. But then you're into an advanced clear path, and this final target is just at the breakdown area, so that's definitely playable from that aspect. The Great Reset is when Path Trading Partners turns into a cake decorating channel. Well, that will be Bob's channel. I can't decorate a cake to save my life, so keep that in mind. Mike, I meant to ask why use the iShares transports versus the XTN in sectors videos. It doesn't really matter. I've just always used the iShares transports. We can look at XTN. I can come over here. I mean, XTN is still in bullish mode. Did not trigger a sell signal here, so the stuff I follow for longer term is still in bullish mode. So that's, again, it's like the same thing. Remember when I have my ratios, I watch a couple different ones. You know, I'm watching value versus growth doing the Vanguard and value versus growth with, oh gosh, I forgot. With the iShares. Sorry, I just had a blank there. But that's where watching both of those, because I watch a couple different things if I'm watching ETFs. I just happen to cover the iShares one in the video. Baba? Baba's still basing longer term, has not been able to, let me clear up a little of this. There we go. That came up, hit those doubles, which is now out of play. But it's interesting at Baba. I'd be really interested if it gets above 138.50 on a closing basis. Rotation zone's out of the way, and then you're into a single candle clear path with the target of about 159. So that could be an interesting play because it could be out of the way of the weekly rotation zone. And it's trying to put in this long-term base, but I wait for a breakout. I would not front run this. We already did that, Sterling. RBLX, we already covered that a little earlier. I'm just watching for this support down in this area because longer term, remember, you're still against the weekly rotation zone. So I'm expecting this. And the only upside thing would be a potential gap play for me. Other than that, I'm watching first for about 60.25 and then to return to this 57 area. Then we break below that, I'd be going to new lows. And here's an example for the harmonics. So the longer term swing to this pausing area, we had a question. So that's going to give me my major harmonics. Then the minor would be from the most recent swing. Now this is where, with this aspect, it's really good to use the reverse harmonic because we're going backwards in time. And you see this is, I mean, you have two tops there. And technically it's reversing this move, but it's a little iffy, but that will give you your minor most recent swing targets, which I'd use. So for shorting, I'd be using 51.12 as stop reduction, 48.61 as first target, and then 42.63 on a continued down move. TradingView no longer a sponsor. Why do you ask that? They've never been a sponsor. I have an affiliate referral thing, but I'm still in TradingView. Where, when should we look out for the long-term buy-sell signal course? I'm in the process of recording it now, and I'm switching some content providers, so hopefully within the next week or two, it should be out. And again, that will be very inexpensive, a great way for people to, for stocks. Like if it's in buy mode, I start watching longer term. If it's in buy mode, I'm starting to watch for pullback things over, and that could be in long-term bull mode for weeks to months. When things are in short term, when it's in sell signal, I don't pretty much touch it unless I get a major bottoming pattern or a very aggressive bottoming play. It's not a problem, Sterling. I was just letting you know we already covered it. CME is back to testing breakout. Then I'm going to wrap this up. I actually have to get my dogs out. And CME spiked up. We were in CME and are out of it. Again, spiked up. This was a great example. Again, you want harmonics. So you see this was a very recent swing. This was a major swing. And that gave me areas we're targeting here. And then the 254, which it couldn't sustain above. Now watching for a pullback. I'm not as bullish on this anymore. I could still see it. I want to actually see it come back down to about this 230 area. Around 230, I will start reevaluating back at this prior support on a weekly basis and see if it starts holding here in a replay based off this really rapid run-up. I'd love to see this pullback here and then get a entry signal. That's CME. Sterling, thank you for the $10 super chat. Everyone, please join the Discord, help promote the channel. And again, everybody, we're doing this with more and more stocks now. We got the pre-market show. We got 2 post-market shows. Bob here Tuesday and Thursday. He might jump on a pre-market one too with stuff going on. I'm doing this all the time. So again, thank you, Sterling. Comments are really helping. I'm even going in there to thumbs up them, and everything else is getting us wider distribution. It's also why I'm going to start pushing Twitter again with Path Trading. So every little bit helps. Again, if you're not following us already on Path Trading, it's Path_trading. Please do consider following me there. Thank you, Tesla Force. I really appreciate the super chats. All that money goes back into this channel, paying for software, paying for lighting, paying for better sound. It's not spent on like booze. It's not spent. It goes actually because it's a direct way to take what you guys donate and make it better for everybody. So thank you. For the next time, keep an eye on LAC. The Los Angeles Clippers? Lithium. Lithium's hot right now. Lithium's hot. That was nice. I just looking to see how that... Ooh, look. First little reaction, first target, second target hit. Still's got upside. This is the move it was reversing. 31.30. Ooh, I'm sorry I didn't see that. And then up here, oh, look, it could go into advanced clear path. Move held this major. Wow, great little call there, Raj. Great call. Thank you. I'd be watching, not that I can give financial advice. I can just give educational advice. If you have a watch list to keep something on and watch even for pullbacks on, I would add LAC. LAC, do not ignore that one. That is a great little play, Raj. You can see here holding this long-term support, moving back up. Actually triggered a weekly buy pattern. So you got weekly buys in place. You got that daily double in place, first, second targets. We might get a little pause up in this area, but then if it backfills a little and then rotates back up, that could be a great longer term play again. Abraham, thank you so much for the super chat. Again, Really appreciated. We have 3 super chats. We have Abraham, we have Tesla Force, and we have Sterling, all great members of this channel. Thanks to Raj. Everybody give a big shout out to Raj for some of the stocks that he put out here, including that one out I did not have a look at, LAC. Again, Sterling, thank you for being here. Abraham, Michael Jonas, W Browser, Sashi, as always. The long-term people who are here, thank you for everything. I'm going to wrap it up for now. Oh, we didn't look at Shopify for tomorrow morning? I might peek at this in the morning. Shopify. Why? Shopify. This is just a mess. I don't know, and I don't have a pattern here. This again, remember what was that other one we looked at? I just blanked out again. What was that other one we looked at before that was really bullish? I said yesterday that I did not have a play on. What was that one? Sorry, Upstart. Thank you. It's been a long day. This is in that same category as Upstart to me. I'd have to go in and look at the options again. You got earnings tomorrow. Trying to put in a bottoming pattern, but earnings is going to dictate the breakout or breakdown, and we have no pattern to rely on. The double hit the first target and then reversed. There's just nothing, and it's still in very bearish mode. So even on a rally, even a return to, let's say it gaps up on earnings, I'd be targeting this 1053 area as a target and then watching for another rollover. Longer term, I'm watching for a bigger pullback in here. So that's Shopify. I'll glance at it again tomorrow morning. All right, you have a long call spread on Shop, so carry that into the earnings. And that's about it. ENPH. You guys are going to... Didn't I already... Enphase Energy. There's your weekly. This is actually sort of bullish right here. Sort of. It's still... see, Enphase would be energy stocks. This is weak when energy's been strong. So, again, I'm not a fan of this. You could target about 160.50 area. I wouldn't really get a fan until it could get above about 173.50 again. Because based off of energy, you had a little short-term bottoming play, but this, I'd be looking at other key energy component stocks that are trending much better than this, personally. Now, if you're already in it, I'd be real cautious if it closes. See how it's found key support here? So this was resistance becoming support. You start getting closed back below this 143 level. It's the bottom's probably in for at least the top's probably in for the short term since you're still against the weekly rotation zone. That's not something I'm overly bullish on. Yeah, and I wouldn't be overly... I'd look for other energy plays separate from that. I know nothing about this company, but longer term, I'm not bullish. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for that information, Tesla Force. And we will talk... If you can join me for the pre-market open, the countdown starts at 8 a.m. Central. The go live about 8:05, and we'll see with the core and retail sales tomorrow and anything that did earnings before the open, and we can check in on those, and we can fine-tune our levels for the S&P and NASDAQ. So I'll see everybody then. Yep, see you then, Sterling. Bye for now.